Thank you, Wayne. I've written down so many questions. This is Gary Sokolow. I don't know if we'll be able to get to them. Have people been writing questions? I would recommend it. Can I ask you, what's the difference between a high turnover use and a high traffic use? I think I know, but I've never thought about that.
Well, okay. Actually, they're all based on traffic, and so I mean, now, this is what we were using here in South Carolina. The access to arms manual in South Carolina has different volume levels, and we basically use those volume levels plus the land use type. But the high turnover, so a high turnover type is something like a fast food restaurant where the parking lot turns over at a higher rate. And so it has high volumes, but there's a lot of activity because people are going in and out all the time, and they don't stay there very long. Whereas something like a big box store just has higher volumes, a much larger parking lot, and again would have high traffic. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, you say that in your manuals you have those defined.
The volumes are there, and they mention different types of land uses, but we use the term high turnover, and high turnover is common for the parking generation manual from ITE, different types of land use, and even ITE actually uses a high turnover type restaurant versus a sit down restaurant where you sit there for more like an hour versus a little bit higher turnover.
Yeah. So like a high turnover, like you said, would be lots of traffic throughout the day and not similar to, let's say, an office building where there's lots of traffic 2 or 3 times a day.
That's one thing again, but the high turnover has shorter duration parking. And so gas stations, for example, they come in and they come out. They do their business.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Whereas a high traffic thing, like a superstore, I'm sorry, grocery store, is going to have high traffic, but they stay there a little bit longer.
Okay.
So land use has something to do with that. They're both high traffic, though.
You said that. Let's see. When you talked about the waiver situation, allowing a lot of driveways very close to the signalized intersections. I don't know how much you know about the process and the kinds of uses that go in there. When they are given this waiver, do you know whether they're given the waiver because it's the only way they can get in off of that street, or because they want 2 driveways on that street?
Yeah, so that's a really, really good point. The waiver process here in South Carolina is not at all standardized. The districts they keep their own waiver records, and the waiver records are not centralized on top of everything else. And so the question you're asking, the answer could be, it could vary by district and location, and so some are a little bit more generous than others. And to be honest, we did take a look at waivers at certain locations, but like I said, they're not centralized. So getting this data, waiver data, it's time consuming, and we only did it for certain locations. But at those locations, it could have been a number of things. Having the driveway on the main road, though, they want access to it. Many times it's a mid-block, and I'm sorry, not mid-block. Many times, they just don't want it on the minor street. They're worried about their economic manhood there, and so they definitely want access on that the major street. And so And the arguments by the DOT, well, it's they didn't have a lot of facts to back up to say no, except for what's written in the standards. So many times they just go ahead and cave in, and so now they have a little bit more data. I wish I could answer it better. There's again, this is the actual waiver by waiver. It's there's better people to be able to talk about it than in the district offices. But from what we from our interviews with them and looking at the data that we had, it was very, very clear that they were more lenient. It's just when we read a waiver, we're not sure exactly what's going through the mind of the district person, and so we don't know exactly what the reasoning was. But it's very clear, though, that developers were able to, and to a point now, they're still able to circumvent the process and get waivers.
Now, we have in Florida, we have district access management review committees, and like yourself, the information is kept local. It would be just as hard for us to find that out. And when it comes to people who are landlocked with very few options of direct access to the main street, a lot of times we are giving driveways that don't meet our standards. At Florida DOT, you mentioned that we use quick curb, and yeah, we have a few districts that are big into using quick curb, but most of our strategy is to put regular medians in as much as possible. And we've been in the midst of a study of looking at driveway movements off of driveways onto exclusive right turn lanes near intersections. And just like yourself, we have found so many people want to leave that driveway and in a very short distance want to get over into the left turn lane.
That's right.
And causing problems, so much so that we're recommending very highly that if you're putting a driveway really close to the intersection, especially off of exclusive right turn lane, that it be right in only.
Sure. Yeah. No. Absolutely. And if you're at an intersection, because we're talking about landlocked, well, if they're at an intersection, they're not that landlocked. They can actually, there is the minor street typically, and usually the minor street can be a better candidate for potentially for full access rather than the major. With regard to bollards, the width versus the median, we have to have the median a certain width for pedestrians and such that are crossing. And so it gets to be a little bit extra cost, and so by all means, median raised median would be a good idea, but as an alternative solution that's a little bit lower cost and doesn't need the width, bollards could be one to definitely consider. And
you've proven that it's very effective from a safety standpoint.
Yeah, it definitely improves safety. The maintenance on them, though, you don't have to maintain your raised median so much. Whereas these bollards, especially when they're close to traffic, and if you have drivers, these bollards, we have a new spring that had brand new bollards put in, and some drivers here in South Carolina say, "Ooh, gosh, those are targets. Those aren't bollards," and they actually will run over them. And it wasn't long before that. So they have to be maintained, of course. They're pretty quick to put up and put down, but it's just kind of a nuisance to continue to maintain them.
Okay. I got a question. I got a question here from Phil Demosthenes asking you whether South Carolina has acted in any way to tighten up their waiver process. Yeah,
so that's a really good question, and from what I understand, they are, I have not followed up, and I really need to, but they're in the process of revising the ARMS manual right now, and, the understanding of this project was to use the data from this project and the, the new language in the ARMS manual to make the waiver process, one, a little more standardized, and two, a little bit more stringent. But the actual status, I should follow up on that. I'm not certain where they're at right now.
You can't do everything.
Yeah, but in South Carolina, in Florida, you have a lot of site impact legislation that we don't have here, and so the only way we force businesses here to do site impact studies, it depends on your jurisdiction. Some jurisdictions do have site impact legislation, but most do not, and a lot do not have zoning. And so anything on a state road, though, the state can actually, to get a curb cut or an access permit, they can be forced to do. The developer can be forced to do a traffic impact study.
Right. Suraj, I see that you have a question. I have unmuted you. I will not make the assumption that you have a headset, but if you do, can you speak? If not, oh yeah, Suraj. Yeah, since you're an ex-student, why don't you ask your professor what you want?
Nope. Maybe not there.
Okay. Let me read what Suraj.
Knocking on my door, and there's a.
Yeah, it's bad to spring this on people. So.
Sorry.
Because
I have a sign on my door that says "Do not disturb," and they knocked anyway.
Okay. Suraj asked, how was it quantified that 2 entry lanes on a driveway resulted in less crashes than a single entry lane driveway? Were bike and ped conflicts considered with 1 lane entry versus 2?
We all we did was present the data the way it fell. So we had so many, we had a number of 2-lane driveways, and looking at the crash rates there versus 1-lane driveway, the crash rates were on the 2-lane driveways were lower. In terms of why, yeah, we're not exactly sure. I gave my reasons, but it's, yeah, I'm, they could be made up. So I don't, yeah, there's correlation, but the causation, I am not sure, Suraj, but that's a very good question.
All right. Let's see, Philip. Who worries about the liability, and how often is the DOT sued in court for contributing to an injury?
Oh boy. Okay, so now you're getting into another thing. I do not a lot, but some expert witness testimony in South Carolina. They do come to me, and I always try to defend the DOT. I never go against them because I'm worried I'm not going to get research money anymore. and so yeah, I've been on a number of cases. The DOT, I don't know about Florida, but the DOT gets sued all the time, and they always settle, pretty much. And because of even though that they have a good case, it's rare that I get put on the stand. And but it does happen. And so yeah, liability is an issue. The key though is that, that's why we have guidelines and standards, and if you go away from those, you're going to set yourself up. We have, like, right on campus here, setback distances for traffic signals are supposed to be 40 feet. And we have brand new signals that were installed that were much less than that. And, and so I told students, well, if you get an accident there, feel free to sue the DOT. And I can't defend them in something like that. it's best for them to settle. But with new construction and new design, there's no reason to mess that up. We have a lot of problems out there, but it's mostly from long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It is much better now, and the engineers are I mean, they're pretty much told this, stay on, stay with the standards for sure.
Okay, thank you. And I appreciate all the questions that we've gotten, and I know I haven't asked Wayne every question I had, but if I do, I will report back to you, and I'll probably have to read the ARMS manual and read your report instead of just.
And folks are welcome to email me. If you want to find me, I'm easy because there's not a lot of Sarah Suas in the United States. So if you search Sarah Sua, especially Wayne Sarah Sua, you will find me and my email. But anyway, my email is easy. It's sarahsua@clemson.edu. Go Tigers!
Thank you.
I'm sure there's a few Florida State fans online. I feel sorry for you this year.
I think I told you I've become a Clemson fan because of your research.
There you go. Not because of my football and my baseball. I caught a baseball at the baseball game the other day. It was great.
Yeah. No, I'm going to get like I said, I'm going to get a jersey with your name on the back.
There you go. Thank you so much. Like I said, I want a selfie with you with my jersey on. I'd be happy to sign it. Though I sign very few autographs except for signing exit exams for my students.
Okay, that's great.
And I signed Siraj's thesis. Anyway, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Y'all have a great time.
Thank you, and feel free to stay on if you want to hear what we do in the rest here.
I actually have a line outside my door.
Yeah. But, okay, that's right. Well, take care. I know you're popular.
No, it's they just have to see me. You take care. Bye now.
Take care. Bye.